So now we're going to continue on with our TP cast of The Raven. We're up to the attitude tone portion of our TP cast. So we have our poem. You can see that it's been pretty highly annotated already. We have our paraphrasing here. We have our figurative language in blue, and I'm listing over here the different types of figurative language that I saw. And now we're going to move on to the A. So I'm going to put an A here, and I'm going to keep track of what I find in, I'm going to change pen colors again because for me, color coding helps me keep everything straight in my head. So what we're looking for now is we're looking for words and phrases that give us a hint about the tone here. So as we're going through here, we want to see like what is his attitude? What is his mood? How's he feeling? And by he, I mean the speaker. So I'm starting off in the first stanza, and he's weak and weary, so I can see that he's tired here. And suddenly he hears this noise and he kind of becomes a little nervous about it because he can't imagine who could be knocking at his door at midnight. That's pretty unusual. So we can see that it continues here. He's talking about vainly. With something is vainly, it means that it was a desperate try at something. So he's got some desperation here. And we can see that he's doing everything he can to forget about this woman, Lenore, who has died. And his heart is breaking every time he thinks of her because he misses her so much. And he can never see her or talk to her again because she's died. So here we have a hint of desperation. And then here he's talking about he's filled with fantastic terrors. So here he's afraid. And I think it's it's late at night. He's sad. He's kind of overcome with emotion. And he's definitely feeling afraid right here. And we go to the next one. And he's kind of begging this unknown person who's knocking at his door to, he's asking for forgiveness right here. So we can definitely go in and say he's asking for forgiveness. So he's contrite. He's got some contrition here because he feels like he's so much into his own head that he's not paying attention to the world, and his upbringing and his manners tell him that he can't be unkind or rude. So you can see that his emotions are all over the place in this poem. Then we get to here, and he's like kind of hopeful because he's whispering into the darkness, Lenore. Like he's thinking maybe she isn't really dead. Maybe my desire for her to be alive again has actually brought her back to life. But at the same time, he's fearful. So we've got a lot going on. So what I want you to do is I want you to continue stanza by stanza. And I think what would help you is write one or two words that in general sum up the tone of the piece. Then you can look at the overall tone and you can see what the tone is mostly about in the poem. Because in a poem this length, you're going to have some shift in tone as you go through the entirety of the poem. But I think if you write one or two words for each stanza, it's going to give you a pretty good idea of where was his head, what was the tone, what was the mood of the poem that was going on. And then over here, you can write tone and you can give yourself some ideas. Okay, so he was nervous. He was desperate. I think we could say he was grief stricken. So there's definitely some things that we could write. Then the mood, like what effect does this have on us as we read it? We're gonna feel some anxiety. So we're gonna have an anxious mood because it's like, what is going on here? What is happening to this man? Is he coming unhinged? Is he having a mental breakdown? Or is he actually being haunted by the spirit of his lost love, Lenore? So this is what I want you to do. Go stanza by stanza, leaving yourself little notes, one or two notes about his possible tone here. And then here on the front, list some things that are tone, list some things that are mood, because you're going to see this shifting throughout the poem. And that's going to lead us into the next thing that we're going to do, which is going to be the shift. So as you go through the poem, I want you to look for, where does this poem take a turn? Now, sometimes a poem's going to have one shift. Sometimes a poem, especially a lengthy poem, might have more than one shift. So pay attention to, where is the poet going in a different direction? Where is he changing his trajectory to put us on a different path as the reader? And that's where you're going to find the shift. But to help you find the shift, make sure that you've gone through every stanza indicating a tone and a mood, because that's going to help you locate when there's a significant shift in those things, and that's going to point you toward the next part of TP Cast.